welcome to another video. And in this video I'm going to be doing the full delete for the Q7 TDI. Before I move on, I want to give a big thanks to SUSTDI for making this video happen. So I got some goodies which I'm definitely going to need to do this delete. So here are the parts that I ordered. Again, I'm sure this looks all familiar from the website. And then I got all like the O-rings through FCP Euro, but the more of the focus is right here. So obviously, if you haven't, here to the side, go to his website and make sure you ordered the stuff. Because I mean, just the packaging itself, like it was. Well, I mean, obviously I went here through a tornado, but when I arrived, it was like packaged like amazing. Like even the plastic itself, you know, is in great quality. So even if the plasticing itself isn't good quality, can you even imagine how more better the parts are? Because this definitely, you know, takes time and effort designing these things and then getting them manufactured and making sure, you know, they meet, you know, pass the little quality test. But yeah, so I definitely got all the goodies that I'll be needed. And yeah, so I'm very excited for this install. As I've mentioned, head over to his website. You know, here I'll post a little screenshot of his website with all the, you know, stuff that he has going on. He has Gen 1 and Gen 2. So this is the new release that he did, SUSTDI. And again, this is what the new, again, obviously I'll take everything apart out of the baggies. I haven't taken them out of the baggies just yet. But make sure, you know, you go and do that and definitely get the new updated kit that he has on his website. Here are all the parts I got. So here's like the EGR block off plates right here. Here's this. Again, these are like lightweight, super lightweight, and this already comes with the O-ring. Even though I did purchase it beforehand, the kit of the O-rings, but it doesn't hurt to have, you know, another O-ring just in case. And here you go. Here's this part right here, looking really good. Here's some more piping right here. Some accessories, you know, some harness, and then obviously the O-rings. But yeah, this is the kit right here that I'll be going ahead and installing. I went ahead and removed the engine cover. So now the first thing when it comes to removing this, I'm gonna work on my way from here and then work my way up to removing the manifold. So that'll be the process. First thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is go ahead and remove this band right here so that I can disconnect this hose, and then remove this pipe right here. And there's 3 screws. There's 1, 2, and 3, and that's a T30 Torx bit. All right, now that I have the 3 bolts removed, this will come off. And just be careful, there's still a connection down here to this right here. So there's still a harness that I can feel at the moment. Let's see if I can, there. So I just disconnected it. See if I can give you guys a better, so right here. Hopefully the camera can see it right there. So right here I just disconnected this part that goes right here. So now this can be, you know, freely to move out of the way. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just wiggle this. Just want to get this out of the way. And then obviously look at the gunk that I have right here. And now I'm gonna go ahead also remove, I can leave this in place. And now I'm gonna set this aside, and something I like to do, because I remove so I don't lose the screws, I like to put where the screws go in as my placeholder, because I definitely don't want to lose track of where screws go. So yeah, so I'm gonna set these screws here, so I have no excuse of these you know, getting lost. So now I'm gonna set this aside and continue working my way towards the manifold. All right, so the next thing, I'm go ahead and start to remove this pipe. So from the looks of it right here, there are 4 screws that are connected to like what I believe this is the throttle body. So there's 1, 2, there's 3 right here, and the 4th one is all the way down here, kind of hiding right there. So that's one set, and then another part, it's being contained by this frame right here. and right here, and then obviously here where this pipe right here for the EGR is. So again, this will be removed as well. All right, so where the Torx are, those are going to still be the same size as before, a Torx 30, and then where the hex are is going to be a 5mm hex. And quick tip, to get the last bolt right here that connects to this pipe to the throttle body, this is what I use, an extension right here, and I was able to reach, just I can show you right there. Well, geez, now it's not wanting to work. Okay, so then that's pretty much how I was able to reach it, and then there we go, like that. So able to get that last bolt out right here. So what's going to happen in order for me to remove this completely, I'm going to have to remove this EGR pipe right here. And there's two T30 hex, no, sorry, not hex, two T30 bits that are connecting this EGR pipe. So I'm going to remove that, and hopefully that will free out, and this should be all come out as one piece. So there's a very hidden T30 bolt that's underneath here behind this pipe. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So it's very hidden. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that out, and hopefully that should free this pipe now. All right, so this is what was hiding underneath here. Now this should, look at that, come free. So just to give you guys a better understanding, this right here is where this is. So again, just like I mentioned before, I'm gonna go ahead and put all the screws that I got out back into its spot, so that I don't get confused on which screw goes where. Now that this is removed, let's look at that gunk that's all in there. It was definitely expected. I definitely didn't expect this to be clean, even though it's been deleted with the tune for about 30-something thousand miles now. But yeah, that is not as bad as I've seen other cars, but now let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what that looks like right now. So there you go. Look at all that carbon buildup. It's definitely not, it's still bad, but it's not as bad as I've seen other people when they post on the Facebook page on just how cake batter it is. I'll say it's so bad, so it's expected. Right now, before that's connected to the harness that I see, so we already removed the 4 screws that are right here, these guys right here, the 4 screws that are right here. Now the 2 things that I see right now is this harness right here, so this harness can be removed. There we go. Just get that out of the way. And there's a T30 screw right below right here that needs to be removed. So here's that screw that's down below, and it does have a little washer, so just be careful, but I don't think this washer will come out. This is like kind of like those washers that are like that comes with the bolt, specialty from Audi, of course. Here is the throttle body in all its glory. This should be fairly easy to clean. It's still soft. You can see as I'm pushing, as I have my thumb, I'm gonna give like a thumb right here. Obviously it's gonna take a little bit of effort and some elbow grease, but this isn't as bad. Really, honestly, this isn't as bad as I've seen another post. Again, I know I'm saying this a lot on the compared to others, but yeah, so now that this is here off to the side, and again, as before, I'm going to put the screws in their place so I don't lose these, and set this aside. Okay, so the next part is before getting to remove the manifold here, there's other things that need to be disconnected slash kind of like moved out of the way, because you know we have all these like from the harness, you know, these are going to be in the way, and eventually it's going to have to be removed because this is going to be deleted, this whole thing right here. You got the harness back here that needs to be kind of like, there's some screws back here that needs to be removed so that this harness part right here can just move out of the way. All these some of these vacuum lines right here. Here I'll just get a, so yeah, so you got these vacuum lines right here, this connection here from the harness, eventually this vacuum line right here, another part of the harness. This might be need to be removed, this harness, but I'll just go ahead and remove it anyways. Yeah, so that looks like about it, kind of. So it's definitely, and then the screws for the manifold are like right here, so it's definitely hidden. It's definitely going to be having a long one of these will definitely come into play for this part when it's time for the manifold to be removed. All right, so here's some progress so far. I removed the two connectors that are right here. I'm right here, so I removed this part of the harness right here. And there is a T30 screw that goes right there so far. I removed the vacuum lines right here. I have this, and right here there's held on by two teeth. Right now they're not in place right now. Two T30 screws, and this will come out freely. So now that's one part. And I'm kind of trying to work my way from here and kind of slowly making my way around here. Disconnected here. There's a frame right here. That's what this is, and again, there's another set of two T30 screws right here, and I'm just kind of like seeing my way around what else needs to be removed before I start removing the screws of the manifold. So this is what I have so far. All right, finally got the harness out. This was tricky to finally get out. There's definitely a lot of like hidden screws, you know, where they can be, and then there's things that are, you know, like the harness that's clipped, so you end up removing, kind of like using a knife to carefully cut the harness so I can free it from this little harness grabber thinger majigger thing. All right, so this is definitely getting a lot closer. So now that that is out of the way, next is now starting to, I'm going to continue going through here and see if I have access to this. But I know right now there's this fuel line right here that can be seen right here, and it looks like it's attached to the intake manifold. So I'll go ahead and remove that screw, and then gonna see, I know I've seen that some individuals do remove this right here, the sensor right here for the fuel line, but I'm gonna see if I can get away without removing it, and if I do, then it's not a big deal. All right, so next, now that I went ahead, removed this, I'm just gonna leave this right here. Hopefully I don't need to remove the line. I'm gonna go ahead now, use this T30 to get, so there's gonna be kind of hidden. So up here in front, they can be easily seen. There's one right there, two, three right over here, and then the same thing, there's three up here, and the tougher ones are going to be here in the back. So you'll definitely, that's why you definitely need one of these long T30 fittings, so you can get access to there, as compared to, you know, having a T30 of this right here. So this fuel line that runs here towards the rear will need to be removed. So right here, and then the other end is over here, and that's what these caps here are for. Went ahead and removed the fuel rail, so you can see there's the cap right there, and then the other cap is right over there. All right, so I finally got this, so you can see how it's wiggly, so that's a good thing, because this thing was pretty pried, so it was pretty scary. So what I ended up doing, I mean, it may not be the scenario, I used the mallet, so I kind of hit it from this side, hit it from this side, and try to, you know, hit it from this side, and then, you know, try to use that as a pry, you know. So be very, so again, it's very scary, I'm not gonna lie, because I definitely do not want to crack this or break this. So so now I'm gonna go ahead and carefully, you know, wiggle this thing out, because, you know, I still have all these lines and all this just lines and more lines back here, so I really want to be careful. And again, I got all the screws out except for one screw, so even though yes, the screw is loose, the one back here, it's still in play, because it's just really hard, even with the little magnet thing, it was so hard for it to like come out. So I'm gonna just be careful to keep an eye on that screw if I can, as I'm pulling this manifold out. I went ahead and removed the sensor right here. So you'll need to remove this as a 27 millimeter, and I used a breaker bar. All right, so now when looking at inside the manifold itself, I mean, it looks fairly clean. I don't think there's a whole lot of cleaning I need to do, but obviously, you know, obviously this right here, but I'm actually kind of surprised that I thought it would have been a little bit worse than this. So cleaning this shouldn't be as bad or as time consuming. The next thing is the EGR cooler. So there's going to be 4 bolts, T30s, one right here, 2 3 and 4, and then you got the clamp right here, and then a hose clamp right here. So when it comes to removing this, because this does have coolant, just be wary when you remove this. So I finally got the EGR cooler off, so it wasn't inevitable. I did spill some coolant that came out right here. So now I'm gonna go ahead, before I actually start removing this, I don't want to suck up all the coolant that got trapped down in here. So here's the extractor. I have it connected to the air compressor. Now on this stand, I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here. Go ahead and open up the valve and start getting all that gunk. You can kind of see it's starting to pick it up. So in order to remove the oil cooler, there's a total of 6 screws. So there's 3 on this side, and then there's 3 back there. But if you look down there, you'll see, oh, there's more than 3. So you got, it's the ones that are on higher elevated, if that makes sense, to remove this. Even though the screws down there will need to be removed, but not yet. But yeah, so go ahead and remove, and there's 1 screw underneath this hose right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and have to remove this hose to get access to that 1 screw that's right underneath this hose. So I went ahead and removed the oil cooler. So just have whatever you're using as an extraction to make sure you do that quickly, because you definitely don't want the oil to be mixing in with the coolant. So I went ahead, already removed this valve right here. So now what I'm going to do is remove this guy right here. Again, there's 1, 2, and there's a 3rd bolt. And now the next thing is go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and remove this plate right here. And then that will be the last thing that's going to need to be removed. I finally got the plate removed. So what happened to me was, even though all 4 screws were removed, I was still having trouble. It was pretty much like, not welded, just over an exaggeration. So what I had to do is kind of pry it from this side on the metal part. So don't try to pry it from right here, because here you have plastic. So you want to do it here from where the engine block is, and from this side right here, give it a little wedge, just a little. Don't do too much right away. Just do a little wiggle until this plate finally gets loose, you know. And that was my scenario. So I went ahead, cleaned up as much gunk as I can. I definitely want to get some of that gunk that's right there in the coolant, because I definitely don't want that to be in the coolant by the time I put everything back together. Alright, so before I put everything back together, make sure to clean everything. And the really important thing is the holes right here, because you know there's so much gunk and coolant oil here. What you don't want to happen is for there to be any fluids inside these threads. So when it's time for you to tightening it, you know, trying to compress oil or water inside of these holes as you're tightening it is bad news. You can definitely crack the block, and you definitely don't want that to happen. So please, please, please make sure, go through every holes right here, and make sure, you know, since, you know, I got my little extractor tool right here, tube I mean, go through all these holes and double check, please double check that there is no fluids at all inside, or gunk inside those threads. Cleaned up the mounting plate. So again, there's no particular which way you put on the O-rings, but one O-ring you really want to make sure, which is this little guy right here, where you really want to make sure you do want to put this O-ring in the right orientation, and that's going to go with the one right here. So if you can see right here, there's like a little lip right here, and that corresponds to this lip right here too. And another thing to take into consideration, if you can see that lip is, let me just orientate it this way. I don't think the camera will be able to pick it up that well, but the lip right there, it's not in the center. It's definitely, so the way that I'm holding it, it's more up on here. It's gosh, how do I say this? It's facing more up here than it is down here. So I'm gonna put it to the side. Maybe that will give you guys a better visual. But yeah, so you really want this side to be facing up. There we go. Now the next one will be this guy right here. Wait, is it? Yep. So it's gonna go this way. Again, this is all one piece. Don't cut this at all thinking it's all one piece. So now I'm gonna go ahead, flip the other side, and then the last set of O-rings, which this goes this way. And again, it's all one piece. And again, since it's gonna go like this, so if you're facing the engine from the front and the rear over that way, it's gonna go in like this. When you're putting in, just be wary that none of this O-rings here fall out, because you definitely don't want, or them to like get out of the groove in, but more than likely it's not going to happen, because the way that these O-rings are designed, there's like these little kind of like little lips right here, which kind of like wedge it inside these in the wedges here. All right, so I have the plate installed, and again, there's going to be 4 screws. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 over here, and all 4 of them are going to be torqued down to 9 Newton meters. Next is going to be the bypass valve delete. So again, this kit already comes with the O-ring. So again, there's going to be 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3, and just obviously just align it with that plate. And again, these 3 screws will also be torqued down to 9 Newton meters as well. So I'm going to go ahead, before I start putting things on, I'm going to go ahead and replace this hose here that goes to the oil cooler, because I did get a new one. Alright, so I put in the new hose for the oil cooler. I also put in the hose for the bypass valve. The reason why I did this first is because once I have the oil cooler in, it's going to be really hard to get to this clamp right here for this hose. So I went ahead and aligned it in the direction where this is going to be going with the flange right here. Okay, so I installed the oil cooler. Again, there's 3 bolts here. There's 1, 2, 3. 2 right here, and there's 1 right underneath this hose. And again, all 6 the bolts will be torqued down to 9 Newton meters, and I did it kind of like in a sequence pattern. So I did the centers first, then I did the corners, and then the corners like that. So that's how I did it, kind of like when you torque down a manifold or anything of that sort. I did just that torque sequence. But now I'm going to go ahead and do the intermediate flange. And again, this part right here connects to this, and this will be facing up for another hose. And again, this is it does come with the O-ring already, so there's no need to get another O-ring. And also it does come with 2 sets of screws, and again, this is also going to be torqued down to 9 Newton meters as well. Next is going to be the EGR delete piping. So it's going to go from this connection right here, from the oil filter housing, this right here, down to the flange right here. So I just mocked it up here real quick, and again, in the instructions right here, it says, so this goes to the oil filter housing, which is this right here. And on this side right here goes to the sensor, which goes right there. And then this little piece of paper right here says to the sensor, again, which is this right here, and this right here, to the flange. So again, so this is just the mock-up right here. And again, just instructions, and please, even the instruction says so right here, please remove before install, which is referring to the piece of the paper right here, the sticker with the instructions of the directions. Also, it comes with 4 wire hose clamps, and they're in these baggies right here. Okay, so I have the EGR coolant delete hoses all installed. And next is going to head put in the coolant sensor. And the coolant sensor is this guy right here. And again, this was removed from the EGR cooler right here. So this sensor will be used, and again, the screw that come with it will be reused as well. So with that said, in the kit there's 2 O-rings, a small one and a larger one. So if the camera will focus, there's 2 O-rings right here, and the bottom is a smaller one, and up here is the bigger one. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these 2 O-rings, replace them with the new ones. And also with the kit, there's instructions also on the install and how to kind of install it in there. And also it came with this grease, so use this grease to lubricate the O-rings right here. And it goes into detail in the explanation on this piece of paper right here as to why it's recommended to use this type of grease. So here are the new O-rings. There's the old ones. I used the picks. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this packet and lubricate these O-rings. And what it pretty much says is to go ahead and insert it, prime it, wiggle it around, prime it again, and insert it again and again. Then once it's seated in again, go ahead and use the same bolt or the screw again, and this will be torqued down to 9 Newton meters. I am in the future right now, so obviously you can see the manifolds installed, but I'm re-recording this portion of the video because I wanted to correct something that I did originally that's technically not correct. So for when it's time to install the temps, the coolant sensor, you want this to be seated all the way in, and then go ahead and torque the screw to 9 Newton meters. So it'll be a little tough with the O-rings, but that's what that lube is for. So make sure it's seated all the way in, and then once it's seated in like this, and then go ahead and torque down the screw. Now the coolant sensor is now seated here onto the flange right here. And so whenever it's time to install, the sensor now connects back to here, but not right now because not first, but I mean once the intake manifold is installed, then this can be installed. Next thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start removing some of the vacuum lines. So part of the kit also comes with these 2 caps, and these caps will be taking over for the vacuum line. So one of the caps will go, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this right here from this T connection right here, and there's going to be a cap right there. And then the next one is I'm going to go ahead and remove this solenoid right here because it's not needed. And also it does matter that since this car is stage 2 tuned by Malone, I did get with the tune all the deleted coding that was necessary. So part of it is this. So this solenoid really won't be utilized anymore. So I can go ahead and remove this, and I can put a cap here at this T connection down here, and then this can be removed right here. This vacuum line, and also this. I went ahead and removed the 2 T30 screws that go right here, just so I have easier access to these vacuum lines and the solenoid. And when it comes to removal, so I'm gonna go ahead and figure out how this clip gets removed. So I can go ahead and remove this, and then obviously remove this. Just have all this room right here to, move as far as just being fixed right here. Okay, so the solenoid is off, and I have the caps right here. So one cap right here, the other cap right here. So this cap right here was the one that goes to this connection right here on the solenoid. And again, because I have the stage 2, not necessarily the stage 2 from Malone, but I got all the deletes included with the software. This isn't really no longer needed. And then for this connection right here, because this plastic is really like the way that this was connected was like heat treated, whatever, you can't just pull on this and expect that to come out from this T connection, because you'll more than likely break that connection. So what you have to do is, so I use the box cutter knife right here, and I started cutting away little by little, and once this was loose enough to come right out. So that's how this vacuum line was removed. So it's definitely a lot cleaner look. And then I zip tied this vacuum line right here to the frame right here. So it's definitely a cleaner look. All right, so there is the EGR Delete in all its glory. So again, reuse the same OEM pipe. Here's the new hose and hardware. And yep, so that's pretty much how it all is connected. Obviously with the new O-rings on the oil cooler, and then that plate down on the bottom of the oil cooler. So next, the next thing is to install the air intake manifold back in. But before doing that, I have to clean all the carbon that was all in this part of the air intake portion. When it comes to cleaning all the carbon out, there's gonna be so many different ways on how to do it. If you look online, there's gonna be people saying they did, this and this. Some people did some home remedies that's gluten-free. Whatever the case may be, do with what you think is gonna be best. I'm definitely went the easier, pretty simple approach. So what I did is I grabbed a bucket full of water with this kind of soap right here. So this is what I used right here. And I let it soak overnight. It's gonna be different for everybody. It depends on how much gunk you have. Because I didn't have too much gunk, so I used that. So once I let it soak overnight, then I got a pressure washer. So I have a long wand. And what I did is I have this 90-degree bend right here, so that if I were to face like this, I don't get like spray back coming straight at me. But more than likely, even when I did have it like this, I still, got a little spray back on me. But this definitely helped to reduce me getting wet. So literally, that's all I did was that soap that I just showed you guys and a power wash. And here is the results. So again, no particular order. So this is, look at this inside. Definitely looks a lot better than what I showed you guys before when I first removed it. Now looking at this, obviously it's not 100%. You can still see there's some little bit of buildup, but for me this is way better than it was when I first removed it. Look inside the pipe. I think if the camera, if it's too, can see, but yeah, it's definitely looks a way better than it did before. Again, the insides, it's kind of dark, but it's clean. It's way cleaner, trust me, for sure. And then here's this portion right here. But yeah, definitely a lot cleaner. So that's the approach that I did, and then I let this sit out in the sun to let it dry. When I said I soaked it in a bucket of that soapy water, I did not dunk this whole thing in there. I did it just enough where the water level was just about right here. So all this was submerged, but not this. Then I put a piece of tape just to make sure that there's no water getting in. Same thing with this. I had the water level up to here. Let this part here be submerged because I didn't want to risk this getting wet or water getting in there. Next part is to go ahead, remove the old O-rings and put in the new one. So there's going to be 6 of the circle ones, 3 on each side, and then 6 of the rectangles, again 3 on each side. So I'm going to go ahead, remove the O-rings. Now that the O-rings are off, now it's time to put on the new O-rings. And then here it is, all new set of O-rings on both sides. So now this can go back onto the engine now. Alright, so I went ahead and removed all the coverings that I had here for the intake portion here. So now I'm just going to double check, triple check, make sure that I cleaned all the surface right here and there's no debris also within these threads. Or any type of fluids, again, kind of like the statement I made before, but now it looks good to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and install the intake manifold. Okay, got the intake manifold in. So what I ended up doing is, so pretend this is the back part and here's the front. So I really laid it down like up vertical and then scooted in back and then slowly started going in, and it really went in like a glove. So I was really surprised that putting it in was so much easier than when it was time to take it out. But maybe I should have done that when I just lift this up high and then kind of, because it really got caught was like right around here towards the back. But yeah, so it's in. I don't have the bolts in, the screws in yet, but just making sure that everything's aligned and there's no pinch points in or anything that's wedged or pinched against the manifold first before I start putting in the bolts in. Okay, I got the bolts in. I did not torque them yet, so I did not just put them in just in. I still gotta go in and tightening it. Real quick, I actually struggled to get this last bolt that's down here because you have this fuel line right here. So I went ahead and loosened up the fuel line. This one right here, just to give me enough wiggle. And another thing that was preventing from this, see if the camera will, so right there in the center of the screen, I am going to point with my hand right here. There's this little rubber gasket right here. So that was in the way. So what I did is I slid this little rubber down, and now that I finally got it in, I'm going to leave it there until I actually get the torque down. Then I'm going to push this rubber thing back up in that direction. So now in order to torque down the bolts down for the manifold, there's going to be a total of 3 torque sequences. So you got your first group, which is like the inside ones, which is the 4 in the inside, this one, the one right in here, and then the other one right over here. So what's going to happen is sequence number 1, tighten it by hand, so in this order, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then do the outside ones also all by hand. And then sequence number 2 is only going to torque the insides only to 5 Newton meters. So again, in this order, it will be 1, 2, 3, and 4 to 5 Newton meters. And then the third sequence, and then you're going to leave the outside ones by itself, nothing yet. And then the third and final torque sequence, now it's going to be torqued down to 9 Newton meters. And again, start with the insides first. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So once those are tightened to 9 Newton meters, then go ahead and start doing the outsides ones now to 9 Newton meters. Okay, so as mentioned, step 1, tighten all the screws by hand in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all the ones on the outside last, all by hand. Now that all of it has been hand tightened, now the next step is sequence number 2, where I only get torqued just the 4 inside. So again, it's going to be 5 Newton meters, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then right here is 5 Newton meters. And then the outsides get left alone. Nothing gets touched on the outside for this second sequence. But after that, now the third sequence is, again, started with the inside, so everything's going to be now 9 Newton meters. So starting off with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the outsides. And with the outsides, I didn't really mention this, even though it doesn't say in the instructions, but when you're doing the outsides, do it also in a sequence. Like kind of start off from the middles, and then kind of start working your way out. So start in the middle here, here, and then start right here, 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 and then work your way out. And again, here is 9 Newton meters right here. All right, next is to install the intake manifold flap. So right now, these screws will not be used just yet. So this screw right here that attaches to the frame right here is going to be as a placeholder for the time being. The screws that hold on, the screws that go in right here, will also be for the charge pipe as well. So I can't just screw on the screws here first because I need the charge pipe. It's kind of a 3-in-1 kind of a thing. So this bolt right here will be just a placeholder on this frame right here. And again, here is the new gasket. Remove the old one and install the new one, and then this gets torqued down to 9 Newton meters on that screw. All right, so now this is installed and it's held on by that one screw. And before I can install the charge of the pipe right here, I need to do a slight modification that comes with the kit. So part of the EGR kit involves 2 plates. So you got this black one right here, and then you got this thicker metal one with 2 screws. So this one, I'll just get this out of the way. This one will go towards the back on the hot side of the turbo. So right now, this will be put off to the side. But for this one's going to be used. So what's going to happen is there's 2 T30 screws right here. Right here, that's going to be removed, and then this plate will go in its place. And also, FYI, there is a QR code when you do get this kit. So if you take a screenshot, or a picture of the QR code, it's going to send you to a Google Docs folder that's going to give you instructions on how to install the hot side, and with other instructions as well. And here is the new one, and now the plate can go in its place. And again, it doesn't matter which side you go, just pick a side. And this is what it looks like. So now it can go back onto the car. And then here is the new one. So this will go in here. And again, it's like it's kind of already shaped like this, how it arrived for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it this way, so it kind of keeps that memory shape. I don't know if that's really a thing or if I'm just making stuff up. Okay, so I got the 4 screws here, and these were torqued to 9 Newton meters. So next are the 3 screws that could contain the dipstick. this part right here, and then down below. So for the dipstick, there's a total of 3, so there's 3 screws for this. So the longer one is for the dipstick, and then these other 2 is for this frame right here, and then also to connect this part of the frame down here below. Next is to install the throttle valve module, and again, the 2 screws go on top and the one on the bottom. You can see how it's aligned right there, and also the new gasket is installed, and then this one gets the connector that goes down here at the bottom. And again, I think I said this, 9 Newton meters for these 3 screws. And since I went ahead and removed this hose, I went and installed this back on. Now I'm going to go ahead and start connecting all the connectors back together. So there's going to be a total of 4 connectors that won't be used again. I'm going to start right here and kind of work my way clockwise. So the first one is this one. So this one connected towards the back of the EGR cooler. So I'm going to use electrical tape to tape this off and then kind of like store it out of the way. Second and the third ones are these connections right here. Again, this one connected to also the EGR cooler, came up towards up to the front. This one right here connected up to the top of that little kind of like pump right there, whatever vacuum pump, whatever that was. These 2 will connect back together again, so these will still be used. And then the fourth one is going to be this one right here. So I already went ahead and taped it off already. So this one goes to the right here. And this one, if you remember, this is that solenoid that I removed for this vacuum right here. So whichever I capped it off. So this I already have it, and again I'll zip tie this out of the way. And then the connectors that remain are here for the coolant sensor, and this is for the high pressure, for the pressure fuel pressure sensor right here. This one. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and connect this fuel line, which connects this fuel rail with this fuel rail, and right now I have it with these printed caps that came with the kit. So I'm going to be able to go ahead and remove these and then install the this rail fuel line here. And these right here get torqued down to 25 Newton meters. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the fuel pressure sensor. So the fuel pressure sensor has 4 different torque settings that needs to be done. So the first one is to tighten it by hand. Step 2 is to torque it down to 60 Newton meters. And then from there, you're going to loosen it, back it out 180 degrees. And then the fourth one is going to tighten it down to 85 Newton meters. And remove the little towel I had for covering. And then I'm going to screw this on by hand all the way until it bottoms out by hand. So that is as far as I can do it with my own strength by hand. So now I'm going to get the torque wrench. Now the second sequence is 60 Newton meters. And that's what I have right here, so 60 Newton meters. So there's 60. Now I'm gonna back it out 180 degrees. So this is gonna be my 0 right here. If I can do it with the breaker bar. So right there, that's 180. And now the fourth and final torque is 85 Newton meters. There we go, and now I can go ahead and connect the sensor. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and install the second part of the EGR block-off plate, which is on the hot side of the turbo. So it's gonna be on this side. So in order to get clearance, that block-off plate is right here. So you can follow that pipe that runs below here, and it goes under right here. You can feel it with your hand. I really can't get, maybe I can get the camera in there, but it is right here. So if you never removed the bolts on here ever, I strongly suggest using some type of penetrating oil in order to get these, help have this loosened, because you definitely don't want to shear off the stud from the turbo, because that's just another issue then you'll have to deal with. Partially removed the downpipe. I removed the 3 nuts that are connected to the hot side of the turbo, and also the bolt that connects down the mid part of the downpipe to the transmission. I was able to reach all the way down there and loosen it, and I didn't have to get underneath the car. So I'm going to show you that there you can see that the pipe right there is finally off. So here is the EGR block off plate. So it's going to be this side is going to go towards the turbo, because you want this gasket. You need to have that gasket there, because if you don't have the gasket, then obviously you're going to be leaking exhaust, and you don't want that to happen. So it's going to go like this onto the to that plate, right, that opening on the hot side of the turbo. Okay, so there is the block off plate installed, and with the 2 new screws, and the 2 new screws are going to be torqued down to 5 Newton meters first, and then a 90-degree turn second will be the second sequence. And I know it's kind of limited on space. If you do not have a digital torque wrench, I'm over here off to the side right here. I'm gonna put the overall torque. So it's pretty much almost 17 or 16. Can't remember off the top of my head. Newton meters. The overall with the 5 Newton meters plus the 90-degree turn. So if you don't have a digital torque wrench, go off of what I have with the overall total torque. With the gasket kit that also comes with the setup, it does come with 4 screw nuts, and you only need 3, but I think 4 is just in case if you lose one. A copper anti-seize, the gasket itself, and also instructions on how this gasket is supposed to be placed. With the instructions, obviously here's the gasket. So there's 2 sides to the gasket, 1 and obviously 2. What you want to look at, only one side has the Audi logo. So when you're looking at the turbo side from the hot side, you want the Audi logo facing towards myself, and with the Audi logo on the bottom. So it's going to go this way like this. Then all 3 of the bolts should line up, and I'll show you guys real quick. So yeah, so that is perfectly lined up. So remember, and that's pretty much what this is saying. The Audi logo is facing towards me. Downpipe is now installed, and I have the sensors that go along with it. So the 3 bolts right here, the other one on the other side down below of this pipe, torqued it down to 23 Newton meters. So the next thing now to finish this off is to finally install the harness tray right here. Alright, so I finally have the harness tray back installed. I put the connectors that weren't being used, I zip tie them back over here, so it's kind of like out of the way. And again, here I zip tied this one. And then the one that's kind of like remaining, it's kind of like hanging right here. So it's kind of just tucked right there, just out of the way. But yeah, that's the install right there. So a few things I need to do before actually starting the car and actually driving. Because I did not drop, a lot of coolant was lost in the process of the oil cooler. I am going to have to go ahead and top off the coolant. That's one of them. And also the other thing, even though right now the dipstick, here, let me show you guys for right now, still in between the line. But I'm still going to have to add some oil. I'm pretty sure of it because of the oil cooler, because right now that oil cooler is empty right now. So whenever if I were to, when I turn on the engine, crank the engine, obviously those gaps are going to be filled in, and then I'm going to go ahead and top off the oil too, just to be on the safe side as well. So that's really all that's really left, just topping off both fluids, and then yeah, that's pretty much the install. So with that being said, I hope you guys learned something new. And also, if you guys do purchase this kit, again, hopefully this video was a very much help to you guys to understand what needs to be done and how to do the install itself. And before ending the video, I want to give a huge shout out to SUSTDI for also actually helping me in this video, because I had some questions I needed to ask about some certain things I wasn't too sure, and he was more than likely always happy to help me out with answering some of my questions. So a big shout out to SUSTDI, and again in his product as well. I'm super happy how this turned out. So again, like I said again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something new, and thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Thanks.